the time I was honored to know Denny from being music pastor at this church for many years. Denny and I had some common bonds. One of them was we were in the same union, in the drummers union. And there was something special about the drummers union because we only the cool people were involved in that union, number one. And number two, we knew we had to be strong because of all the abuse and jokes that would be thrown at us as drummers, normally by electric guitar players, like Rick Keisley. Some of those jokes were terrible, and so to give you an example of what Denny and I endured together as drummers, let me give you some of the jokes that were laid out to us, and see if you think they're as ruthless as I did. For example, how do you tell if the stage is level? The drummer's drooling from both sides of his mouth. How can you tell the drummer's at the door? The knocking speeds up. What do you call a drummer that breaks up with his girlfriend? Homeless. How can you tell when a drummer's at the door? He doesn't know when to come in. You need a drummer right now just to give us some rim shots. What do you call a drummer with a half a brain? Gifted. It's the best way to confuse a drummer. Put a piece of sheet music in front of him. Question was once asked, hey buddy, how late does the band play? Oh, about a half a beat behind the drummer. Did you hear about the drummer who finished high school? Me either. What do you call someone who hangs around musicians? A drummer. These are ruthless. How is a drum solo like a sneeze? You can tell it's coming, but you just can't do anything about it. Just a couple more, just to get us to laugh and enjoy memories. Denny, I once asked the drummer how to spell Mississippi. He said, the river or the state? And why did the drummer stare at the frozen juice can? Because it said concentrate. Great union to be a part of, and I can think of no better person to be a part of that than Denny and the amazing people I worked with here. And Denny was one of them. Met Denny here at Heritage and was honored to play with him, but yet I knew he was a humble man, easy to work with. All the people I worked with here were, but Denny stood out and just was humble. He was always looking after someone else. But I never really realized how good of a drummer he really was until we jumped on board with this production called Creative Christmas. And I realized how phenomenal he really was as a player. Jen Swift, you realized that too as you worked with Denny. Matt, you realized that Steve Abel here, all the people that worked with Denny, Tom, that you labored beside him as a drummer. Amazing, amazing, amazing drummer. Well, the problem with Creative Christmas was I had three drummers that were very humble, and Denny was one of them. And the problem was the opposite of what we usually have. That was they were too busy, Tom Pendale, Scott Hughes, and Denny Dunlap, pushing songs with each other, saying, no, you can play it better than I can. It's very unusual if you know musicians. But it's an honor to play with Denny, and the family has asked me to share a short story of how Denny was even involved in this thing called Creative Christmas, but especially Drummer Boy. I shared it at one of the production shows, and the family's asked me to share this with you and how it leads to what's next. There was a little third grader or fourth grader at St. Malachi's School in Geneseo when we were doing a Christmas pageant, and they were doing Little Drummer Boy. And I'd heard the song, but they had asked me to bring my little snare drum as a little kid in Geneseo to play along with Little Drummer Boy. And it was at that point, even though I didn't submit my life to Christ until I was later in life, but at that point as a young man, I remember playing the drum in the production and listening to the words. And they struck me as a young little boy that I'm not playing my drum for my family. I'm not playing it for St. Malachi's Church. It really hit me as a little boy that I was actually playing my drum for Jesus. And it kind of impacted me, and the more I went on in life and grew, I just realized I just loved that song. And so every time we did Creative Christmas, we would have Drummer Boy, Little Drummer Boy. I became the Little Drummer Boy of the Schaefer family. Well, in Denny's family, he's called involved many things, obviously. Christ followers, Tim pointed out. Husband, dad, grandpa, friend. But there was another name that they had for Denny, and that was, as Tim met with the family, they said, Denny was our drummer boy. It's kind of cool that I didn't know that until just recently. We're about to watch a little video of Denny, the way we want to remember Denny. Not the cancer-stricken Denny, the healthy Denny, doing what he loved to do, and that is play his drum for Jesus. So enjoy the glory of heaven, Denny. Because when you were here, I know, I was shut it down.